Hi there. Welcome to Apple World Cover. Gratitude for your time. Thank you, Heather. They're 14 and 6 without them, and they've done very well in the meantime. Well, that's none of my business. Where I'm at, you're all strange to understand what people are doing in their rooms and who they're screwing with. Laying down with you is unusual. You're the odd one. Dwight Howard's ex, Royce Reed, has supposedly made some noise about Dwight's obscure demonstrations, and she is alleged to have blamed Dwight for connecting with men before his children. Royce Reed, a graduate of the Real World Network program B-Ball Spouses, were as of late captured for kid disregard in regards to her and Dwight's child, Braylon Howard. Word on the road is that Braylon has been displaying an upsetting perspective that might be because of his dad. Dwight's terrible impact, however. How could Dwight deliberately connect with men before his children, and what does that have to do with his child's new offense, which brought about Roy getting captured? It's a ton to unload, so we should get everything rolling. Recently, Royce Reed transformed herself into a police officer in Orange District, Florida, and was accused of disregarding a kid, which is a third-degree crime, as per court reports. Roy's child, Braylon, whom she imparts to Dwight Howard, disregarded a few principles given by an adjudicator for past dumb activities. Braylon, who turned 16 this month, has a record of attacking different kids, particularly young men more youthful than him. In view of this, an appointed authority decided that Braylon should not spend time with kids 2 years more youthful than him without a grown-up present. Likewise, due to this past episodes, Braylon has needed to work with experts at Genuine Core Conduct Answers throughout the previous 2 years for restoration anyway. As per court doc reports, Braylon attacked Royce Reed's sweetheart's child in 2021 while Braylon was under her authority. The records say that Braylon constrained the kid to jay him off on the grounds that Braylon was irate with the kid. During an interview with specialists, Braylon uncovered that feelings like resentment trigger him to carry on. Thusly had additionally added that the episode happened before he began seeking treatment from experts, and that the treatment has assisted him with figuring out how to leave circumstances that trigger him. Braylon, as far as anyone knows, educated his mom regarding the occurrence willfully, and she informed specialists and handed herself over since she was the grown-up responsible for Braylon's guardianship. At the time, she evidently had an obligation to guarantee Braylon didn't disregard his court request, which she neglected to perform. Consequently, she was accused of disregard of a youngster in spite of the fact that Roy has gotten a sense of ownership with her job. In the occurrence, she has supposedly blamed her child daddy, Dwight Howard, for ignoring his kids and placing them in improper circumstances. As you might realize, Roy and Dwight have been engaged with a harsh care fight over their child. Braylon, since they separated, Dwight's legal counselors have even blamed Ray for utilizing Brian to get back at Dwight, guaranteeing she isn't worried about the kid's prosperity anyway. That doesn't change the way Brian himself told police in a meeting that the last time he saw his dad was in 2020 during the lockdown. He guaranteed he and his dad had not spoken since that time due to a contention. They ultimately triumphed the last time they met, and different bits of proof recommend that Dwight has not especially been father of the year to his children, who recollect when this video surfaced of Dwight pushing his child to work out until the unfortunate kid separated in tears. Dwight, who has 5 youngsters, including his firstborn, has been in a frightful fight in court over a claimed say. A man named Stephen Harper has recorded a claim against Dwight, blaming him for battery attack, purposeful punishment of close-to-home pain, and bogus detainment, as indicated by court records. Dwight supposedly ed Stephen Harper when Stephen went to his home for a hookup after the two had been sexting on the web. Stephen had purportedly contacted Dwight through Instagram, and the two rapidly became friends in a few claimed spilled visits among Dwight and Stephen. Dwight let Stephen know that he was not gay or anything, and that he was simply frightful in some cases simultaneously. Dwight requested that Stephen send him an other express happy, which Stephen sent. Dwight likewise inquired as to whether he was available to having a trio. Stephen asked who it would be with, and Dwight said it very well may accompany a young lady or a man, despite the fact that it's not obvious from the supposed visits. Stephen later guaranteed that he didn't agree to a trio and that he verbally communicated his refusal, yet Dwight purportedly disregarded the absence of assent and welcomed his companion, a man called Kitty, to the house for the three-way. Dwight probably told Stephen that Stephen planned to do anything he desired him to do, and he planned to appreciate it. Dwight then, at that point, purportedly tried Stephen and kept him from going out, subsequently requesting that he drop the ride he had proactively requested by the court records. Stephen asserted he felt humiliated and scared by the difficulty, and he simply needed to move away from that point as quickly as possible. However, Dwight didn't permit him to leave until he consented to permit Kitty to drive him home. Yet during the ride home, Kitty supposedly undermined Stephen, and that's what let him know whether he enlightened anybody concerning what went down at Dwight's home. Somebody planned to place a shot in him now. Curiously, in those supposed spilled talks among Dwight and many, Stephen and Dwight consented to get together at Dwight's home. Stephen inquired as to whether there was anybody who might raise eyebrows about him being at Dwight's home. Dwight answered that there was no one, with the exception of his child, who was sleeping. It's muddled which of his children Dwight was discussing, yet this obviously shows that in the event that the visits are genuine, Dwight generally approved of welcoming aliens to his home to perform unusual demonstrations and potentially attacking others, while his youngsters were in the house on the grounds that, as far as we might be aware, Dwight had never met Stephen face to face, so it might have, in a real sense, been anyone. It's vital to take note that this isn't Dwight's most memorable time being sued for attack in 2018. Bricklayer L recorded a claim against Dwight for irritating and undermining him online. Artisan guaranteed that he and Dwight were beforehand seeing someone after the relationship finished. Dwight and his legal counselors paid him quiet cash to keep him from releasing any data about the supposed relationship. They purportedly continued to dog him until he recorded a claim against Dwight. You would feel that Dwight would be extremely worried about what this multitude of allegations and negative media would do to his profession and his family, like we're discussing attack here. However, S response to this is caught in this video from his Instagram experience that ain't no one business where I put my at you, all strange. If you have any desire to understand what individuals doing in their room and who they screwing with and laying down with you are peculiar, you're the bizarre one. Goodness shoot, you all found out about that Dwight. They said Dwight was in an instant message in a person who cares. He essentially conceded to having a consensual ensnarement with Steve. And while advising everybody to mind their business since whatever happens in his room doesn't concern them following that video, fans began berating Dwight and the media for zeroing in on some unacceptable things. Dwight has had debate encompassing him for quite a while about his sexuality and his room inclinations. Here's a video of him in a real sense snatching this man's private parts out in the open, and without comment, mind you, he has denied those charges on numerous occasions, continuously attempting to push the story that despite the fact that he is straight, he appreciates investigating specific dreams that upset me since I didn't actually have any idea who the individual was. I'm like, how could someone wet? Oh, I've never had any contact with makeup, an entire tale about me thus. That situation caused me to acknowledge dislike this yet. Pew, be free significance, you're not gay. No doubt I'm not gay. Dwight Howard is a hot piddling ass wreck. He's shouting individuals stressed over who he lays down with. Darling, no one gives AF about what you like and what you do. The current point is that you're saying men we should remain on subject. Child and kid individuals are more centered around Dwight Howard's sexuality or conceivable sexuality than the way that he's blamed for saying somebody. I mean, no one truly tends to think about what you do away from public scrutiny, except if it includes harming others. And for this situation, it influences various dignitaries. And assuming Dwight has been doing all his frightful business at home with his children resting only a few doors down, it's not preposterous to envision that his children are getting on a portion of those propensities.